usually go with this.
You come in Wednesday, though, right?
I'm planning on it, 'cause I didn't write now.
I almost did it last week.
I couldn't get my
Yeah.
wife to kick
Good
it.
time popped up.
I was tempted to call Doc and tease and see. if he
Never
could
mind.
Yeah.
Wind up.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Very fun.
Good job, I have a happy dog. What's that?
Good evening. Don't feel bad, I did the same thing. Yeah. And then you look
What
at the
doors
ones
downtown?
Max, you went to City Hall?
I did.
Max,
Take a tour of the city.
that's good.
Well, good evening, board, ladies and gentlemen, and we will start the March 9th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting. And the first order of business appears to be the approval of minutes. Are there any questions or comments by the board? If not, is there a motion for approval?
I move to approve the minutes from February's meeting.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there a second? Second. Okay, that's Jurgen. Okay, Jurgen Ross. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? None, okay, motion carries. New business. Dustin Servant and John Kidd, subdivision to create 3 lots, preliminary and final. Go ahead, Justin.
Correct, so Fisher is proposing a subdivision to create 3 lots from a single parcel. These lots were previously subdivided, however, they were subsequently merged. The proposed re-subdivision requires that the lots be platted and approved by the Planning Commission per Appendix A, Article 1 of the city's municipal code. The proposed subdivision creates 3 lots with an average lot size of 1.5 acres. There are existing sanitary sewer easements and a county drainage ditch easement that traverse the property as noted on the plat. The proposed lot lines follow an existing split in the zoning, which you can see up on the screen. The zoning districts that it splits are C3 and R2 residential. The boundary between lots, the proposed lots 2 and 3, which are the lower 2 lots on the subdivision, it run along the center line of the Buyer-Brady ditch to avoid future ambiguities related to the shifts of the watercourse caused by accretion and avulsion. We have requested that the final plat have a legal description of the ditch, which the engineer has provided. So we have measurements along the center line, so as that water course meanders over time, there won't be questions about where the property lines fall. The planning department recommends that the planning commission grant preliminary and final approval for this subdivision as presented.
Okay. Were there any comments, phone or otherwise that came in?
No, we didn't receive any feedback from this. I just want to show you on the screen where those lines were. There was a line that existed right along this where the zoning changed here and they were merged at one point. This line still exists, but they were combined for tax purposes. So the need to replat came with this, the zoning change in the district and express the further need to replat based on the feedback from the lenders.
So the red kind of represents the area where they want to build a little coffee house?
Correct.
Okay.
So that would be on this north end up here.
Okay.
So is that like number 3? Can you count these out for us?
Yes, we have seen a couple other coffee shops in the last 6 months or so.
No, I meant.
Oh, sorry.
Like, where's lot 1?
Oh, yeah,
Lot
let
2,
me,
where's lot 3?
let me pull that up here.
Let's see, lot 1 is the commercial.
So you can see lot 1 is the north parcel. Lot 2 would be this eastern parcel in the residential zone, and lot 3 would be this southernmost parcel, also in the R2 zone here. They'll have frontage along their southern edges as well.
Very good.
Okay.
Other questions or comments by the board?
I'm just trying to envision where this is. This is the Parker Street, right before you get to the intersection by Menards.
It is where the gas station is, the B&P gas station,
Right.
it's across the street from that.
Right, okay.
Correct, and we can drop down to street view if that's helpful to anybody, just to get your bearings. Okay.
I know this isn't an issue now, isn't that where the,
Michelle now is giving you a pretty good look at.
turnoff
Yeah.
is slated for the, overpass for 30?
So that's quite a ways out, and we don't know exactly what NDOT's gonna do. So obviously that's a road that we'll have to cross, when we get to it.
Jeff, did you?
Three questions. One, confirming lots 1 and 2 are going to remain R2 or R3?
They would remain R2.
And their access would be from Walter Way and Oak Glen.
Correct.
The commercial lot, lot 1, the access is going to be along Parker Street?
Correct, it would be, yeah, it'd be, in alignment with the existing, access point here.
In alignment with what?
This other road that,
The gas station, are you talking about what goes back to the,
it's,
office areas?
it's behind, they proposed it, in alignment right here, so.
Okay.
the-
All right, so that alignment does not put them in the ditch?
No, well, they actually
There
would.
is a curb cut.
There is a curb cut there. It does encroach into the county drainage. They have 75 feet, the county has 75 feet
Right.
of it. So they are speaking with the county. I have spoken with, the county, surveyor, and he is on board with this. They just have to run it through the drainage board, sounded like at the time.
And then lot 2, which is gonna be R2, is there, with this plat, is there even a buildable, footprint available between the ditch, the setbacks, and everything else?
That is a really good question. It would be a challenge to build on that lot. There likely is very minimal space for them to build in lot 2. But that is something that they would need to make that. There would be a spot on this north end that they could potentially build in, unless they got special permission from the county to place a permanent structure inside of the ditch setback there, or ditch easement. But they've got floodplain to contend with, or floodway as well.
They have floodway, they have easement on the ditch. I guess the question is, why have those lots 2 and 3 as separate lots rather than one large lot?
Those were still split for part of this, so they're not really they're splitting off the commercial chunk.
Right.
Those weren't actually officially merged, formally, so they were merged for tax purposes, so, really this isn't affecting those 2 lots, other than defining the center line of that ditch.
So we're really not creating new parcels, we're unsplitting what had been merged.
Yeah, in a way. So we are creating a new parcel because the north parcel was officially merged with lot 2, but lots 3 and lot 2 were never officially separated.
Just an idea, a question for you, if you can go back to the red and yellow map, there was a tiny triangle of R2 in that commercial, on the left side of the, keep going left a little bit there,
We're talking about right in that area.
yeah, just left your mouse there, yep, right there, what is that little?
This could just be a drawing error on
Okay.
Beacon. It's not a legal
Okay.
document, so those lots are primarily slated for residential. I don't
Okay.
really see any of this impacting that too much, so.
Other questions or comments, board?
So, the curb cut, the traffic plan needs to be approved separately on lot 1, trying to cross 30 there already. And I've seen, people from the gas station trying to turn left onto Parker to get out
This will be presented to tech review committee, and they will review the traffic, how it circulates through the site, the stacking potential of that. The way they position the building, it does appear that they would have a decent number of, cars that would be able to stack. Petitioner may be able to speak to that today, but, it doesn't appear to be a stacking risk, with how they've oriented the
So
building.
you already have a plot plan for,
They have a preliminary site layout, but it'll be formally reviewed at the tech review committee as all commercial developments are. Yeah.
John, I'm sorry for being a naysayer,
No,
but, love Dunkin' Donuts. But we don't need another situation where we had it all planned out and then we've got to jam out to Parker.
Is that our jurisdiction?
It's fair to ask the question, but we're not approving their site plan as for today.
I get it, but we're approving whether or not we allow this to be a commercial lot.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not changing the zoning, but just the subdividing between the residential and commercial lots that exist.
So all of this is a single parcel now,
Correct.
and the
Well,
single,
Well,
No, I think 2 and 3 are still, are separate. It was 1 and 2 he said were merged.
okay, but I'm sorry, let me rephrase it. 1 and 2 are a single parcel now, and they are currently zoned what?
R2 and C.
And you have 2 zonings on a single parcel?
they were subdivided previously and they were merged for, one owner merged them all to simplify taxes likely,
Right.
usually why it happens. So there were 2 different zoning districts that the single parcel of lot 1 and lot 2 span.
So it's kind of cleaning it up in a way.
Good, Jeff, did you have any other thoughts?
Thinking, processing.
Okay. Jerry, you look like you're deep in thought too, right?
Well, I disagree with Jeff. I travel that almost daily, and I've seen cars backed up all the way, if you're looking at this map, all the way to lot 13 where the stand is, and you cannot get out of the gas station.
Okay, well, with that, maybe.
That's not our issue, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a concern.
We'll open it up to John, and then, I'll let you just address anybody that are concerned about traffic.
sure.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, John Kidd, RW Kidd Construction, representing, I can't remember Justin's LLC's name, but it's gonna be a Bigby Coffee, drive-through portal, very simple to put together. And, to start off, to answer Jeff's question, the main reason we're splitting this up is because my understanding from the bank through SBA, there's only a certain amount of real estate that you can have with a commercial entity, and this exceeds that. So that's the only primary purpose to split it up, is to comply with SBA. And so it was already 2 different zonings, kind of quirky there. Lot 3 or 2 and 3, the residential lots, I don't know what could be done with those, but you can't really build anything on it. Maybe the guy that has the apartments would want to put another building there on lot 3, but that wouldn't be anything that my owner, I don't think, is interested in, but,
Is it fair to say this whole process is to get the lot 1 so it qualifies at SBA, 2 is just their,
yeah, correct, yeah. It's just additional property, and, who knows what would be that. In regard to the traffic and such, we haven't had the dialogue with the preliminary stuff at the city, but one of the good things I think is that in the bottlenecks, I would assume that, I'm not positive of this, but I have a little experience in the coffee business. Bigby's gonna do most 80% of their business probably before noon, maybe at least 70 in the mornings. And I don't think traffic is nearly as great in the mornings. They don't do that much volume. They are open, I think, till 9. And that depends on the time of the summer and the seasons and things and the weather probably. And then we have on really staged out for such, but there is probably, boy, 120, almost 200 lineal feet of staging parking spot. It's a 2-lane road that goes around the building, one for through traffic and one to stage up to the order kiosk. So I think we have nearly 200 feet at 20, that's, at least seems like 10 or at least parking, staging spots, but there's also additional parking that could, you know, if we run into a problem with having too many people on this site, that would be a good problem, that we have that much customers. Yeah.
So as, I'm trying to see how it's situated in my head, so as someone is coming across US 30 from Menards, they come across, and as you turn onto Parker, it's going to be to your left.
Correct.
Okay.
Going south, it'd be on your left,
It
yeah.
would be on your left. Then, so are people then going to be able to turn left into that lot? Because then that's gonna back up going across the highway
That'll back them up into the highway, yes.
in the morning during the commute.
Well, making the left to the south would only really be someone letting the person in the line there. We have 2 lanes coming out, one to go north and one to go south.
Coming out of the lot.
Yeah, coming,
But turning into the lot, coming across US 30
She's talking
and
about
turning
coming down
left
Parker.
into the lot.
Parker.
My concern is,
Yeah.
it's people are you're gonna have to stop to get into the lot, and that's gonna back up across US 30.
there's quite a bit of space between there and US 30. It would be,
Normally, yes, but today would be an example where somebody, it already happens with the gas station, so let's remove you.
yeah.
You come across, there are divided lanes, if you're in the middle lane, you're gonna turn left on the Parker coming back. There are people who will stop to go into the gas station because they're stopping. The rest of the lane that had been crossing 30 has to wait on them, and that leaves cars 90 degrees on US 30 exposed to traffic. And to dovetail into your comment, you double that, and in fact, you increase it by more than double, because in that situation, they are hesitating to make a right turn, which there's no obstruction. If they're making a left turn and there's an obstruction to that curb cut, they have to wait for that to open for them to turn left. If Justin can go back to the street view, and just behind the red car, well, right there, but from the other angle, you had a street view, there's a red car, just beyond that is the curb cut, behind that white car.
Yes.
If somebody's obstructing that, and you want to turn left, you have to wait until that obstruction, if everybody is bumper to bumper out to 30, they can't open that up, so this, the right lane that we're looking at that's empty, backs up until you get a minor gridlock right now, because they can't turn left, they're not gonna give up on their coffee opportunity. And you have to wait for the light to change in order for the left lane to create a space. And meanwhile, depending on the traffic, everybody backs up, and there can be cars left out on 30 in the I'm gonna say crosshairs of oncoming traffic if the light changes. And it's a long distance, I would agree, but there are times of day where other times you just blow through there illegally, way too fast. I've done it myself. But there are other times where it is just a logjam and you just don't need another choice there.
I have 2 thoughts that come to mind. One is, this may be where you have to, as Scarlett O'Hara would say, depend upon the kindness of strangers. Somebody's got to stop and let that car turn in, which happens fairly frequently, in my experience. Secondly, I'm not sure this board has, we can express our thoughts, but I'm not sure we have the ability to stop this from going through based on that. I think we have to raise our concerns with the traffic commission. say, these are our concerns, we'd like you to take those into account. Now, that's the-
You know, it's definitely helpful to hear their thoughts on this, but
Yeah.
it is something that we would want to run through a different board. But we could explore different options there. I think you guys are onto something where
So,
there could be paint on the ground where it says do not obstruct this entrance if we notice that's a problem, kind of like they do in front of fire stations, just to draw the driver's attention to that gap that they were closing off
or,
For-
okay,
for the turn into the
I
coffee.
agree, we can't stop this because of our traffic concerns, but it is in front of us for approval. of
And I don't
this
disagree with what you're saying, I agree. You know, one of the thoughts, since we're throwing thoughts out, is it's probably expensive, but a left-hand turn lane that allows you to kind of go around, you know, somebody is parked there. They could at least look at that and see what they think.
Yeah, as a result of the US 30 project, there will be changes on frontage roads like this, so we anticipate if there is an issue, when NDOT comes through and makes their changes, things like that can be addressed as well.
Any other thoughts or questions? Okay, John, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, if there's no more questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John, sorry.
So just my question, when they get ready to, propose what they're gonna build on this site, that doesn't necessarily come before this board meeting, correct?
No, that would go through the Tech Advisory Commission, and we review the plan there with all the site requirements there, site design requirements.
You say traffic commission listens to this too?
No, we can definitely discuss that concern with traffic commission as well, as you requested, but the site design goes through our tech review process.
And perhaps you want to just talk about that,
Yeah, yes,
so
definitely.
people understand what that is.
So that is where we have, all the city departments review each commercial development. So if there's a new commercial development or a significant renovation to a commercial site, it goes through what we call tech review, which is a site development plan review. So they submit their civil engineering plans, their site circulation. So people like the fire department, city engineering, all review the plans for their conformity to the different ordinances and requirements of each department. So it's a comprehensive review of any commercial development in the city.
Other questions or comments, Jeff?
So, what's before us came with a recommendation from the planning department?
Correct. We recommend that you grant preliminary final approval for this plat. It does make sense to re-subdivide this and just kind of, like Diane said, clean up how it was a lot with a couple different zoning districts that were on the same lot.
So you recommended it, so my question is, was there any kind of conversations like this regarding these issues in the planning department?
Correct, and John could vouch for me if you don't believe me, but I did talk about traffic at length when we met for their site plan design. They have not gone through tech review yet, so that is something that we can continue those conversations, but traffic was discussed in the site plan, initial preliminary site plan review.
And then another question I have, it's new to me, about the water line. So what I'm assuming that in English it means is that that water line moves, the boundary between those two lots change according to the water line. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, so there's two different types of movement of water. So the accretion is more gradual, and your property line, if you do live on a water body or a river, usually, accretion is something that happens over time, and that can migrate your property line based on how it moves and how your property was platted. So if it's a gradual movement, you might end up with more or less property based on how that water body moves. The avulsion is more of a quick, like if there was a large storm that came through and just the creek flooded and created a new channel that was more direct or gave you more property, your property line is legally not likely to shift as a result of that, because that's what's considered a more rapid movement of the water, and they they typically don't, have the property line shift when that occurs, so.
And so the ditch could end up all on one property or all on the other and not be the boundary between the two.
If we don't do this, if we don't do this, right? Because we're saying.
No,
we're putting
today
a
they're
parking-
asking to have this in there, that besides how it's drawn, they're asking to have this.
Yeah, and we had them at,
Lined, like specifically lined in there, right?
the engineer has added what I requested in my comments. They did add a legal description of the center line of that ditch, so it's measured out, it's delineated on the plat. So now in the future, if that does shift over time, that center line, it is known where it was when this was platted. So it'll make it a little bit less vague. As of right now, the center line of those two lots was platted in a way that if the creek shifted, it would have evolved the property lines over time. So
It would not be safe.
it would have. So now we've defined it in this new plat so that it is less ambiguous in the future.
To summarize, if the creek shifts, the setbacks and everything else is still based on the plat, not on the shift.
Correct.
Other questions or comments?
One last one, I'm sorry.
Sure.
And this is aimed at the planning department, not the petitioner. Speaking of Dunkin' Donuts, what things did the city learn and have implemented from, the Dunkin' Donuts, commercial property on Center Street in terms of traffic flow, parking, and access?
I think a great deal. I mean, we that's one of those ones where mocking up a cab rendition and showing exactly how the cars are to be stacked is something that we regularly ask for, especially on major arterial roads. Center Street is obviously very highly trafficked, so, also enforcement, something that, is required, somebody that's blocking the road, that's not necessarily a Dunkin' Donuts, that's, a choice that somebody's made to ignore kind of the rules of the road and block the road for others, so, we would hope that people would understand that if they do that, they might be subject to a fine, but we do want to get ahead of that, we don't want to put that situation, out there, so we do closely look at stacking, to avoid something like that from happening.
Any other questions or comments?
Just for clarification, maybe you already covered this, I'm sorry if you did. I see the easement there, the gray on this map. What is the purpose of that? Who is that for? Pull that up here. The shaded gray.
So that's for the city, there's a sanitary sewer easement.
Okay, I just.
That goes.
So that's not buildable at all, that area?
No, you wouldn't build, you can pave in there, but, you wouldn't want to build in there, or we wouldn't allow somebody to build there.
The extensive.
So yeah, there's a city sewer line that traverses that.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. That said, I'll close the meeting to the public, and, if we're ready to take a vote, I'll turn it over to Ms. Diane Collins.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we approve the preliminary plat as presented.
Second, okay. Go ahead, Jeff, you got a question?
No, we're doing 1 and 2, 1 and 2, okay, got it.
Okay, Dan, you seconded?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No to abstain.
Abstain, okay.
So then we cannot vote on the,
Okay,
because it has to be 8 minutes, so.
okay.
Suspend rules, that's correct, I believe. Mr. Mayor, is that correct? We don't have legal.
I'd have to check Robert's rules abstaining, I'm not sure if that's He's refusing the vote, so then you would have the 4 or 5 of you that did all vote in favor. But again, we don't have our attorney here, so I want to be real careful and not have to look that up. It would be safer,
Let me withdraw my abstention on the preliminary and vote to approve the preliminary.
Okay. So we have approval of the preliminary. All in favor, say aye. Okay, it appears unanimous.
yeah, good, Diane, good.
Diane.
So since it's unanimous, I make a motion that we suspend the rules so we can vote on the final.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Okay, I think Dan was there first, okay. All in favor, say aye. Are there any nays or abstentions? Okay, appears unanimous.
So then I'll make a motion that we approve the final plat.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, next, thank you. All in favor, say aye. Any negatives or abstentions? Abstention, okay, so this passes though. Okay, with an abstention. Okay. Well, thank you. Justin, were there any further thoughts or comments?
No other items. I appreciate the board's questions and look forward to
Good thorough meeting.
project.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Jurgen, second.
Second?
Okay, once again, all in favor, say aye. No abstention by Jeff, it passes.
I wanted to vote by left hand, not right hand.
Everybody have a good evening.